Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Greg. I'm going to go over the cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin specifically. Let's dive into that a little bit more in detail. Used a couple proxies like GBTC. I'm also going to go over MicroStrategy briefly, and then we're going to go into Bitcoin, and we're going to talk about this, the 12-month candle. Okay, that this gentleman right here, what's his name? Joe Jom Global. Joe Jom Global right here. Okay, so GBTC. I'm on the linear chart with this trend that it's been on since December of 18. And is it going to hold that trend? Good question. Good question. I think it really needs to. Really needs to. But could it do something like this right there? So if you come over here and you see that it actually didn't bottom right there, it went up a little bit and came down, broke it, and it was 60 days was sitting in there. So I'm going to be looking at something like that. And then the GBTC chart is making an ugly diagonal wave, or a descending wedge coming down, and some sort of descending wedge down into this area for the GBTC chart. You could take this probably, on logarithmic, it's out of it. So you would check it on linear, guys, to see what's going on with this thing right here. Definitely in this area, you have the same deal here, back down, and then it's making that bullish divergence coming down that wave. So there's some pretty decent signals with it to find a bottom in there. So areas to pay attention to. Starts breaking that massive trend with daily or weekly candle bodies below it. I would start to get concerned with it, kind of like Binance, guys, what I showed you about that. Now, here is MicroStrategy on the weekly chart. And MicroStrategy is in a massive three-wave move that it's been in since February 21, and then back down into this wedge type move that it's doing here. It's just slowing up once again in momentum. So here's the deal with MicroStrategy. I still have this target down here of $138 that it should be hitting, and probably it might even go a little bit lower. Once MicroStrategy's down in that box, that'd be the area that Bitcoin will be in a bottom probably. For those that don't know, MicroStrategy is basically a proxy of Bitcoin. Michael Saylor, this guy on Twitter with a bunch of followers, and is a big Bitcoin maxi. Nothing wrong with that. I don't have any problems with people that are like that. That's their business. I think some people are missing the other parts with the other altcoins and the software and the capability of the software or the blockchain with use cases with that. And could they do it with Bitcoin? They could, I suppose, but I think there's going to be use cases with it with Ethereum and maybe some other chains. In my opinion, the future is blockchain. I think it's a disruptive technology, and there'll be plenty of, even though the economy is not doing so well right now because, the Fed's going to basically push it into a recession probably by at the end of 2023, maybe even 2024. And by the way, too, guys, people worried about inflation going into 2023. More than likely, we're not going to have inflation. We're going to have deflation. More than likely, guys. The data is pointing towards deflation. So that could be coming and then going into a recession. But got off track there. I digressed a little bit. I think it's going to come back down there and be looking for Bitcoin. So let's go over Bitcoin. And I have Bitcoin on the 12 or the yearly chart. There's no doubt about that, guys, right here, that this looks terrible. A bearish engulfing candle from that candle of January 21. It's right there. And then this candle right here. Okay. And then you have declining volume, rising price. This right here, you have to consider this with this declining volume. Okay. And this is what it is. In this area, okay, let's go right here. Bitcoin was only $330. Okay. Up here, it's $16,000, $17,000, more or less, right around that price area. A lot more volume, a lot more Bitcoin is exchanging because the price is lower than it is up here. One of the reasons that it has declining volume, okay? But if you go to, let's take a look at another piece of data, 11-month chart, got a little bit different picture, okay? You don't really you don't have that bearish engulfing candle anymore on the 11-month chart, and on the 10-month chart, don't have it anymore, okay? So definitely the charts don't look good at all. You want to be aware of that. So a couple options. I think Bitcoin will be coming down to a bottom and doing a bounce, at least a 38% bounce coming off of that wave, and that will be a really good opportunity to do some long plays in the altcoins and definitely with Bitcoin if you want, in my opinion. Here's a monthly chart. Take a look at this on the RSI. This is a concern right here. But overall, like looking at it right now, it doesn't look that bad just looking at the chart to me. And then down here, you have a slowing of momentum in the MACD. This monthly PPO down here, this bottom one, it is coming down. It looks like it's trying to curve. So slowing in momentum right there kind of makes sense to me right there. So the other charts, you go into more of the lower time frame charts, it starts to look a lot better. Okay, Bitcoin in this area, it almost has a bullish cross. Probably this is a 2-week chart, so you probably have to wait another 4 weeks to see if there's actually a cross. See what happens right there. Increase right here, or I should say a decline in momentum for sure. And then on the RSI, you have bullish divergence coming down. Makes sense to me. I think the what happened is that nobody expected this. Go back to history of Bitcoin, it didn't do it. It just, capitulation event and got out of there. Same thing in over here, 2015, capitulation event and got out of there. This is a whole different situation, guys. This is going to, I'll go over that in the lower time frames, but this 2-week looks really, really decent. I would be paying attention to this data. Me personally, this is what I would be doing. If I was going to be looking to potentially make money on the long side with Bitcoin, is in this area, data here, paying attention to all the data, more data points that you can look at and be looking for a bounce out of there on the long side. That's what I would be looking for sure, without a doubt. Mentioned in previous videos, there will be some other traders out there, probably won't be saying much, that will be looking at that data for sure. No doubt about it. Same, the weekly chart, coming back around, bullish divergence, already had the bullish cross and everything. It's, immediate false signal right there a little bit on that. So this is what looks really good. Coming down right here, and then, up something like this, come back down, and then you could still have either bullish or exaggerated divergence. It's just taking some time. The weekly chart looks really good as far as this becoming a some sort of diagonal. Now, how is it going to get down there is anybody's guess. Is it going to go like this? Is it going to go down a little bit over here? That's just going to have to let it play out. I got a box in there. You guys can see I have that kind of like for a short setup. Really not liking the setup right now with Bitcoin, but it's in a corrective phase and it's just dragging on and on and on. That's the other thing too. You have to be patient with these a wedge at this size. So I can go to here. You can Google descending wedge or falling wedge is what they call it on this chart. You can go ahead and read this and look at all the patterns, what you want to look for on a descending wedge. It's one of my favorite patterns to trade for an upside move on any like cryptos or any type of asset. It's a really good. The only thing is that they just keep going down and down and down and down, and they just sit in there and sit in there, and then you don't think that it's like, what's it going to do? You start thinking, oh man, did I screw this up, man? It's not going to do anything, and the next thing you know, pops out, and then boom, and then it pops out of there. Okay, 70% of the time on a descending wedge. Okay. So now let me go to daily chart. Take a look at this on the daily. And like I said, that box is a target area that I was looking for. Could it pop up a little bit more? It could get into this area. The higher, the better. I'd really want to see this thing get dragged up in the RSI a little bit more to up into these areas if you want to do a short and play this move down here. Okay. So like I said, how's it going to get down here is anybody's guess. The main thing you want to be aware of is the amount of time that it could take to get down there, guys. Could it just finish it off? It could. Or could it just do what it's doing right now? Maybe swing up a little bit more, drop a little bit, swing up. When it does the corrective moves to the upside, it's going to take some time and then come back down here and eventually make it down there. So the time is anybody's guess. Getting fib targets on something like this in this diagonal is very, very difficult to do. I could easily say as an example, I could easily say that that's a 5-wave move right there, and it more than likely is, and then it's an impulse move down. But with these wedges, they don't have to be they're going to be more like a diagonal. So your 1.618, if it gets up to there, is like this would be the 3rd wave target, and then potentially 5th into this area, guys, right down to the bottom of the area. So that does fit. But just going through here, and here, the Fibonacci levels, usually you got to go with the wedge. It's better to go with the wedge on these plays, guys, and just try to get that trend as good as you can get it, and then right there. So looking at the overall chart with Bitcoin, there is some pretty decent confluence with it too. So I take it off log. There is this trend right here, this long-term trend that I'm looking at. I think it's a pretty important trend. Could it wick down there? It could. That's about 12,000. And this is another trend that I think is pretty important that you don't see on many YouTube videos, is this trend right here. More or less those touch this long-term trend that I'm going to put on here just like so, and get in that area just more or less like that. And there's confluence right there with that trend too. Okay. But you might see some, what do you call it, on Twitter, this bounce up and then coming bounce back down into this pattern like this, of how this long-term pattern here on this trend back up and then back into this area. I'm not sure what you call this. And it comes down here, and then this is the launch point right here. This is some type of pattern that some people come up with right here, would be like a launch point for Bitcoin. Okay. So is there some negative? Definitely there's some negative. Is there some positive? Definitely there's some positive of it coming up, giving a signal that it is finishing this descending wedge pattern, and that the main thing is going to be the time. That's it. So grayscale, similar pattern. MicroStrategy, similar pattern. It's just going to drag on right now, guys. All of them are doing that. Just taking their time. It's a time-based capitulation event right now, guys, to wear people out and think it's all going to zero. And once the last shoe drops, if you will, the market's like, okay, we got rid of everybody we could get rid of. And then it finally finishes off, and then it bottoms, more or less, is what's more than likely going to happen. There's probably those that are watching my channel are still going to be around, but other players out there that are playing around in the cryptocurrency market, if this goes on for 30 or 60 or maybe even 90 days, there'll be some more that'll be washed out. Okay. So that's the area that we're in right now. And then obviously, then you have a move out of here, and then the big moves to make sure people miss it. That's how the markets work, right? Back down here, get rid of everybody. Then you have this move. They miss that. And then over here, and then most of them come back in this area. Okay. So what was that? Like December of 2018. And now you're almost 2 years later, and then they're in this area again. So they'll be here and a bounce. So this is what I'd be looking for, my long-term or medium-term strategy, back down here and then getting in this right here. Okay. Now, worst case scenario, I want to go over a bearish bounce or a corrective bounce with you guys. So worst case scenario, I would say worst case scenario is that this is a swing down, a 5-wave type swing down, and there'll be a retrace. So if you're looking at a retrace, I would say 38%. Let's say it bottoms at 13,700. You could be looking at a bounce to 25,000, which is pretty huge, guys, if you think about it. 25,000 up to 25,000. I mean, that's like buying Bitcoin at 30,000 right here, and it went up to basically 60 or 65,000. That's the same deal. So that's still like massive, guys. And if it does do that, if perhaps Bitcoin is going to do something like that, well, this is your mega bear. Correction down to here, a bounce, and then it's going to correct all the way back down to here. That's how I think if you're looking for a $5,000 Bitcoin, which there's no indication quite yet that that's happening. There's no proof of that right now. It's all just speculation. I have no idea what Bitcoin is going to do, and I can't know until it's done, and then it goes up. Okay, and then maybe you can start sussing it out in this area. One of the things, if it does get down here and it just aggressively bounces out of there, I would be optimistic, but cautiously optimistic, making sure that that's a corrective bounce, because usually corrections in something in a deep correction like this, if it's whizzing out of there real quick, it just like down here, and the next thing you know, it's at 25,000 within 30 days or something like that. I'd be like, uh-oh, what do we got going on here? Is it a corrective bounce? And it could be. But if it comes down at bottoms, it'll probably suss itself out down there for a little bit, guys. And then, maybe go up, back down a little bit, and then might be finally get out of there was what I'd be looking for. But if it does just whiz right out of there. So what I'm saying with the God candle, I mentioned the God candle. If this is going to be a corrective bounce, you'll have a God candle over here more than likely. It'll just freaking rocket, whether it starts there, comes back up, back down, or just rockets up, or maybe it does a flat. It can do a flat too. So it can come back down, back up, back down, and it'll go up a little bit into an A wave, come back down into a B wave, just breaking that low, and it could have a God candle on a C wave, guys, just like that. And then it'll start that correction over here. Okay. That's all speculation. That's a long-term speculation. Have no idea. And then people coming up with $5,000 target is just speculation. It's just speculation. Descending wedge right now. And there's high probability for it being a descending wedge, just because you have a really good signal right here. You see where it touched the bottom of that area. So on wedges or diagonals, that wave comes and touches it. It just touches these areas. So it came down here into a wave, up in a wave, and it came and touched right in that area. Now it's going back down. So that's a very good signal that you're actually in a descending wedge or an ending diagonal pattern. And like I said, these are one of the favorite patterns that I like to trade, because 70% of these patterns will break at some point, break up. Okay. This is just a big one. This is a big one. So it's going to take a lot of time. That's going to be the key to this coming to an end. Be patient. It's going to take a little bit of time. More than likely, but it could finish it off quick. Don't think so, but you just never know. That's why you want to hang around and be prepared for the moves that'll be going over here. If you made it all the way to the end, do me a huge favor. Drop a like. Hit the subscribe button. Peace.